think a Christian should date a non-Christian?
One of the biggest obstacles, values and beliefs. That's something that would really cause a lot of arguments.
Their values and beliefs is different from yours. Your values and beliefs is towards Christ, and while theirs is towards worldly possessions.
Hey everyone, we're back. It's been a while since we did Boba Bread and Chat, but we're so happy to be back. And take a look at our set. Really big thanks to Lighthouse Media team for decorating this. I just want to tell you guys, if you want to follow us on our YouTube channel, Spotify, for more episodes, make sure to hit that subscribe both on our Spotify and our YouTube channel. I'm so happy to have two of our Impact youth at our church, Erica and Jerio, who is our guest today. Guys, today's topic is talking about our personal relationship with God, our journey with God. So I want to just quickly ask you guys, if you can summarize your journey with God, what does that journey look like over these past years, and how has it progressed?
For me, I grew up in a Christian household and family. So I pretty much went to church every week. So I was always surrounded by people who were Christians, and I also went to a Christian school. So I think as a kid I didn't get that exposed to people who were non-Christians. But as I grew older, I went out to more extracurriculars and stuff. So I kind of got to meet different people. And I think that really I think that was one turning point for me when I got to see other people's perspectives. And I think I was also very naive when I was a kid. So I would always share Bible stories from what I learned from Sunday school, or just from my parents. So, but to hear their perspectives, it was really different. And then I think obviously now as a teen, I think one thing would be my struggles from school, or friends, or just people in general. I think that really helped me grow more closer with God. Cause when I was just able to tell him about my worries, my struggles, I felt the peace and his presence there really helped. Yeah,
for sure. For me, I also grew up in a Christian home, and I basically came to church every week. When I was younger, I used to share the gospel with other people, because it was the cool things I learned from Sunday school, And my journey of God recently, in somewhere in grade 8 towards grade 11, it's been a big low for me. It's I've been a social Christian, it's only for show, but I'm not really growing closer to God. But recently, this year, I've gotten back together with devotions and stuff, and prayer, and I just wanted to get to know more with God, and I've gone a lot closer with Him, because I've been on that grind, on the devotions, and yeah.
that streak.
No, thanks for sharing it. I think it's similar for all of us. I mean, we grew up in a Christian family. I grew up one. I think similar to you guys, growing up as a Christian, it's always those times where we go with our parents to church. We always hear about those Bible stories. Personally, for me, it's it's just hearing about the stories, and I feel I hear about it, but I think as a kid, it's I didn't know how to apply it. I just hear about it and memorize it, all those Bible verses. But as I progressively got older, I felt my relationship with God started to become deeper. Especially, I would say in more of my adult years, right now, I feel it gotten more deeper because of the things that I went through. There was one incident where my car got broken into, and everything from my work was stolen, all my stuff. And at that time, I was actually pretty upset with God. I felt why did God do this to me? Why did this happen? And it really just, shook up my faith. And I was really don't know where I was supposed to go. But after calming down, it's actually, I was reminded of the story Job, how everything was taken from him. But I think at that time it was really of a testing of my faith. I think it really tested my faith. It's like, how much do I trust in God? And I felt like, after reflecting upon that, I was like, was honest with God, like, hey, I think my relationship with you hasn't been as steady, but I really want to take up that leap of faith and continue on growing my faith. And like, I always reminded that even no matter how far we've fallen, God still picks us back up. And I felt like, to this day, I still have those struggles, but I know who I can turn to. It's not just simply like, oh, God help me, but really relying on Him and trusting Him. I know we kind of touched upon, struggles, going on this journey, but, can you guys maybe explain like other struggles you see that, make people fall out of their faith and fall out of this relationship?
I think just like temptations from like just non-Christians in general. I've seen some of my friends like talk with their friends that were non-Christians, and like they've fallen out. I've seen their lowest points, and like I always try to remind them that like, hey, like, you're a Christian, you kind of like, you should probably go turn back to God a bit. Yeah. And like, I think that's just like one of the main things I see from my friends mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, as a relationship with like me and like a non-Christian, like sometimes you see other people that have a relationship with a non-Christian, and like the non-Christian has like a pull on them. It drags them away from their relationship towards God, and like it's a sad thing to see,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Uncle, we want to ask you guys, do you think a Christian should date a non-Christian, or what is your viewpoint on that?
I think one of the biggest obstacles for dating non-Christian would be like values and beliefs. I think that would be like a really big point. Like that's something that would really like cause a lot of like arguments and stuff. And I think it's not really gonna like help the relationship either. So I guess not.
Bouncing off that idea on values and beliefs, I'd say like when you're dating a non-Christian, right, their values and beliefs is different from yours. Your values and beliefs is towards Christ and like the scripture, and while theirs is towards worldly possessions. And when you go towards that relationship, it won't become a long-term, or like it'll be really hard to be long-term. I mean, it could work out, but like it's not a high chance. And like it's really hard for your relationship to go long-term if your values and beliefs aren't aligned.
Yeah, no, I do agree that, when we have different beliefs, I think it's definitely harder. I think, like when we talk about dating, yes, like it's definitely hard. When our beliefs are so different, when we're so opposing, it's definitely hard to, continue on that long-term relationship. So I totally agree with you guys. Going back to the struggles, I feel like there is another thing is the fight between flesh and the spirit. And I felt like in my devotions, one of the many things is actually a verse from Galatians chapter 5, verse 25. It says, since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. And I feel like there's always that struggle, like fighting against flesh and the Spirit, because there's like part of us that, hey, I want to follow this way, but we are to be separate from the world. We are to be separate from all the worldly possessions and all the distractions. But, that's one of the struggles on this journey. Sometimes people might think, oh, you're a Christian, it's like everything might go perfectly. Mm-hmm. But I feel like on the back end, you can see that we do have those struggles. We do face it. And for me, it's definitely when going through the struggles, it's like for the journey right now, I know who I rely to. I can rely on God. Another thing is like talking about, Jesus as the true vine. And so it says in John chapter 15 in verse 5, it says, I am the true vine. You are the branches. Apart from me, this is what I'm summarizing, but apart from me, you're nothing, basically. And it really summarizes that when we're apart from God, or when we are separate from God, that we basically have no direction or no idea where to continue on with life, no purpose in life. So I felt like, to this day, I view God, I view Jesus as that anchor, that vine where like if I continue to rely on him, that no matter how difficult the situation is, I can really continue on this journey with him. I want to like wrap this up with one of the things is, in your opinion, in your journey with God, what keeps you going? What is that encouragement to keep going on with this relationship?
I think just going to church and having like a good group of like friends who are also like Christ followers really help, because they will always like encourage me to do like devotions, or like always encourage me like whenever I'm going through hard times, they will always tell me to like, oh, why don't you like talk to God about it? And like, yeah, that just really like reminds me that like, hey, like God is really someone they can look up to and someone you can talk to also. Yeah.
Speaking of friends, I like talking to my friends and like, especially my close friends, and like talking about my problems and asking them to pray for me when I'm in my low points, and they really help me.
So I feel that similarity is you guys found a community that you can really turn to, and I feel like community is so important, especially as a Christian, because we know that we can't go on this life alone. Like even when we have that vertical relationship with God, we also need that horizontal relationship with other believers in that community. And to me, that what keeps me going is that community as well. I felt like when I have people that I can turn to, whether that is through sending each other like Christian memes or anything, but what keeps me going is that we found that common ground, and we just share about what's your favorite worship song. We just have that camaraderie, and I felt like really want to touch upon on the prayers, like that when we are struggling with something, that we have a community, we have that group that we can turn to. Hey, like I'm going through some difficult times right now. Can you pray for me? And I did have that time. Kind of sharing one more thing is that when I was having COVID and I was stuck in Toronto, I was kind of at the low point as well. But I was messaging my group, is like, hey, pray for me. I'm going through this sickness. Just pray for help. And everyone was encouragement. And I'll have people sending me voice messages. And kind of summarizing is that community is so important to a Christian. Kind of summarizing again, it's like when Jesus said, where two or more are gathered, I will be with them. Like when we are gathered in, no matter if it's a big church or just small group, that Jesus is there in that midst. So yeah, I feel like community is what keeps me going, and just as well as asking those hard questions, even to God or even asking someone. I think that what builds up the faith. Yeah. Before we wrap up, do you guys have anything else to add, or like how do you find your relationship with God as of today? Yeah.
I think it's good. Honestly, I feel like I haven't been reading my devotions that well. I'm trying to get back at it, and I think it's like slowly getting there. It wasn't as good, but yeah, it's pretty good right now.
As for today, we are starting a devotions plan as me and my friends, we started a devotion plan, and we keep pushing each other towards completing the goal. And when I miss a day, they're like, why didn't you complete this day? Then it pushes me to complete the day and write a comment and see what I thought about that devotion. And it's like a feedback, and yeah.
Awesome. You guys have some really good friends, especially they're really pushing you to grow deeper in your faith, and I think that's really encouragement. Something I need to do as well. But kind of summarizing up, this relationship, sometimes it could look difficult at times. Sometimes it's not always smooth sailing, which sometimes people say oh, it looks like it's always smooth sailing, but this journey with God is a roller coaster. I like to interpret it there. There's always going to be ups and downs, but I think what keeps us going is that, kind of going back to it, is no matter how far we've gone, no matter how deep the valley is, God still meets us at those low points and picks us back up. I think the biggest thing is, are we willing to continue on this journey with Him? So that's something I want to wrap up with today. I want to thank Erica and Jerio for just being our guests today on today's topic about our relationship with God and how do we continue on with this relationship. If you guys want to follow for more episodes, make sure to follow our YouTube channel and our Spotify channel and subscribe to it. Make sure to also follow our Instagram channels at lighthousemedia.wac, as well as our church's Instagram at westwood.alliance.church. And God bless and stay bubbly. See you guys.
Bye-bye.